What is up, guys? It's Alex here. Let's talk about real estate investing and what's really like. After going through a real estate investing process myself, I can share with you some of the expectations that I had versus how the reality actually is. As with all of my videos, I will be as transparent as possible with you and not try to sugarcoat anything to make it look a little bit brighter or more sparkly than it actually is. Expectation number one: everything can be budgeted up front. I kind of got burned by this one a little bit. No matter how many videos I watched about renovation, about real estate investing that was combined with renovations, where everyone was telling the audience that the renovations usually cost 20 to 30% more than what you actually budget for, I disregarded that and I really thought that I could pretty much predetermine almost all the costs, all the expenses, and the entire cost of the renovation up front. Let me tell you that certain things really come up, especially when you first get started. There are certain things that you don't even think about that are needed and that come up and will come up. It's like expecting that everyone will smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and comment for the YouTube Lord. That thing doesn't happen. A pipe needs to be changed here. That turns into something needed to be changed there. Then why not straighten the walls if we scrap all that wallpaper, and here goes the budget out the window. As in all of the renovations video that I watched, I'm gonna share with you the same tip that I received from them. Expect every single renovation to cost about 20 to 30% more at least. There will be things that need to be bought that you can't think about because you didn't do the thing before. There are certain glues, there are certain solutions that need to be sprayed on the walls that you don't even know that they exist, but they exist and they're there. So you might need them, and if you want to do a quality job and you don't want to keep reinvesting every couple of months in that property, you better pay up front, do the work, do it properly, and then it's gonna last you a long time. Don't blame this on the work of the devil. Once you get more experienced into this, probably things will not cost that much over your initial budget. You will probably be able to predetermine the costs much more accurately, but in the beginning, you should not even worry about trying to budget everything to the penny or everything to the hundredth the dollars. Expectation number two: real estate is a completely passive investment. Said no one ever. Let's get this straight from the beginning. There's no such thing as something for nothing. While real estate investing is one of the most passive income sources that you can have, it's still going to require work up front and maintenance work after everything is set up and the property is rented. While after the property is rented out to a tenant, you might only need to input about an hour to 3 hours tops per month. To set up the property by itself, it takes about 6 months to a year, depending on how fast you work on the property, how many people you hire to work on the property, and you pretty much get the idea, like how much money you want to spend up front is going to return how much faster you finish that property. After you have the initial investment and the property is running smoothly with a tenant in it, you might only need to pay taxes. If something breaks, then yeah, you have to go and change that thing because it's your obligation to keep the property in livable conditions. If something leaks, that needs to be changed too. If a tenant moves out, you have to clean the property, you have to prepare the property for showings, you have to screen the new tenants, you have to place the new tenants into the property, and it requires some upfront work in order to have that 1 to 3 hour per month passive income source. You still need to keep in mind that you will need to put some upfront work and some maintenance work in order to keep your property sustained. And I made a passive income video about this and I talked about this, so if you want to see more about that, go check that out. On top of that, if you want to run the property as an Airbnb, expect to throw more of that passiveness out the window. Because this time you're going to have multiple people rolling through your property, multiple guests that you have to talk to, you have to prepare the apartment for the next guest, you have to clean the apartment every time a guest leaves and a new one comes. And it takes a lot more time than you might think. Expectation number three: you only make money from cash flow. Cash flow's king, but not always. When you buy a property, cash flow is not the only way that you generate wealth. Depending on how you bought the property, cash or mortgage, there are certain benefits that you get with both or certain benefits that you get only with one of them. If you bought the property in cash, then yeah, cash flow is a no-brainer. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that buying a property in cash might reduce your cash on cash return or your return per the money that you invested. If you buy a property with a mortgage, of course cash flow is going to be lower because from the income that you get from that property, you have to pay all the taxes and you have to pay the monthly mortgage payment that you have on that property. So cash flow by itself is going to be lower. At the same time, less of your money are invested in that property, so the cash flow is going to be reported at a lower amount that you have invested in that property. Every single month that you pay the mortgage, you also pay part of the principal that makes part of the payment, if that makes sense. And every single month that you pay that principal down by a certain amount, you get that amount back as net worth in that property. At the same time, part of that interest that you pay on the mortgage can be written off of your income by a certain amount, depending on where you live, what country you live in, the certain tax laws that apply, and so on. If you saw my previous video about real estate investing, cash versus mortgage, where I went through the math on both the cash and the mortgage, you saw that buying a property with the mortgage can generate more net worth per the amount that you invest in that property, and you can get a better return for your invested money. In that math, I didn't even touch writing off interest of your income, depreciating the property and appreciating the properties. But whenever you buy a property in cash or you buy it with a mortgage, the primary focus should be your goal. If your goal is to maximize net worth, then the mortgage path might help you achieve that faster. If you want more cash flow, then buying a property in cash might be the best thing to do for your goal. Anyway, with both options, you benefit from the appreciation of the property and the fact that in certain situations you can also depreciate the property and write more off your income. So you pay less taxes because real estate is king. So you see that cash flow is not always king, and for many people, the other benefits of having real estate is much more valuable than just the pure cash flow. Expectation number 4. You need a lot of money to start investing in real estate. If you educate yourself just a little bit about real estate investing, you will find options to buy a property with as low as 5% down. In United States, you have the FHA loan that allows you to borrow about 95% of that property's value. Just imagine that you find a $100,000 property and you go with $5,000 and you acquire that property. You might live in that property, you might make mortgage payments in that property, but you're already paying rent probably. So now you control a $100,000 property that is going to appreciate, that you can depreciate, that you have principal pay down every single month with $5,000. $5,000 is not that much. And if you think $5,000 are a lot, then you might need to switch your perspective a little bit about the world. If you live outside the US, there are certain programs that allow you to buy a property with 5% down. I highly encourage you to do your research thoroughly on those, especially in Europe and UK. You will see that certain programs like this one, as opposed to the FHA loan that's in the United States, will not allow you to rent the property for the entire period of the loan. This is the case in my country, and that's a really big no-no. If you want to rent the property out that you bought with 5% down, you have to ask the permission of the bank and the permission of the government of the country that you live in, because they are subsidizing part of that interest payment for you. So they pretty much have an interest in you renting out that property or not renting out that property, and they basically subsidized it for you, not for someone else to live in the property, if that makes sense. So because of this reason, I will try to avoid as much as possible to buy a property with that program. I would rather save 15 to 20%, which is the minimum down payment that you can have in most countries, and then buy a property. And if you look from the perspective of buying a property with 15 to 20% down, that's not that much either. Again, taking the same example with a $100,000 property with $15,000 to $20,000, you can control $100,000. Just think about it. With a fraction, you control a bunch. On the same note, if you buy a below market value property and you are able to force appreciate it through renovations, you might actually be able to pull all your money out from that investment and have basically a property for zero money down. You need some money to first control the property and force appreciate the property, but afterwards you can pull your money out and go buy the next deal and do the same thing and then pull the money out and go buy the next deal and repeat and build wealth and control more and more and more. So you could control a $100,000 property with zero money down. What the hell was that? If you don't believe that's possible, go watch Graham Stephan, and he basically did the same thing. I'll put the link in the description down below because he did it already. Expectation number 5. You become wealthy with just one deal. I'm ballin'. Something fell from it. Ain't nobody balling after buying just one property. Come on. I mean, trust me on this one. I'm there. We just have a property that's fully paid and we're still not balling. It just pays the rent for this property, which is just a form of basically house hacking or just taking advantage of what I was talking to you about, investing some money to be able to use some money that the investment is generating to cover some of your expenses, which is a path of financial independence. But there's no balling with one deal, even fully paid. There's no Lambo, there's no Tesla Model 3 performance, there's no mansion. Maybe a few like buttons destroyed, smashed, so we get some kind of sunshine from the YouTube lords. That's pretty much it. There's just one step towards financial independence, toward building wealth. It might cover some of your expenses, at least for me it covers the rent, plus just a tiny bit of the expenses, but that's pretty much it. Maybe with another property I will be able to cover most of our expenses and maybe the gym memberships, but I'm pushing it there. So you get the idea. After 5 to 6 deals, yeah, life might change a little bit, but for now I'm just able to save more because I have more income coming in, and it's basically very similar to getting a raise. I can save more and invest more in the future and acquire more properties in the near future, hopefully. Alright guys, I hope I was able to paint a realistic picture of what real estate investing is really like. After the first experience, I definitely learned a lot and I'm better equipped to move further. I would probably be saving more and generating more in the next investments and in the next properties, but there's still a lot to learn. With every single bit of information and experience that I acquire, I'm better equipped to move forward. I encourage you to learn as much as you can and not be afraid of making mistakes. I made a bunch of mistakes and everything turned out just fine, and it's probably gonna turn out just fine for you too. Just be as well prepared as possible and things will be alright. Please feel free to destroy the living hells out of the like button, the subscribe button, and feel free to comment so the YouTube lords see. It's just, they'll see, I promise you they'll see. This might help our channel grow, so maybe I reach my goal of 1000 subscribers this year. Alright, that's it for this video. Until next time my friends, you've been awesome, I've been Alex, and I'll see you pretty soon. Take care, have a wonderful day. Peace!